Podcast Evolved, your home for Halo.
Welcome, Spartans, to Halo Headlines for the week of October 25th to 31st, part of Podcast Evolved, your home for Halo. I'm your host, Oren, and with me today is Aaron.
Hi, guys.
So we're going to mix things up a little bit in terms of how we do the Halo Headlines because we have a very important video to discuss. It's the Halo Infinite campaign overview video that was released on the 25th. Right, so Aaron, are you ready?
We are ready to go. I have a video loaded.
So I will count us down. 3, 2, 1, play.
Since the beginning, Halo.
So first off, I like how we get the purple Cortana back.
Partners protecting
That's
humanity.
some pretty cool details.
But that is now a distant
Yeah.
memory. Humanity
Sad,
is fighting
Chief.
for survival.
Sad.
The Banished have risen, defeated our heroes.
This part
and
of the
taken
trailer
control
has
of the
been
mysterious Zeta Halo.
done this side by side
We need a savior. We need hope.
elsewhere on YouTube, and it's pretty
We
incredible to
need
see how
Spartan
Chief's armor and the
117,
fog on
Master
the
Chief.
displays has kind of evolved over the last year and a half.
We have a new mission,
Yeah,
soldier.
the
What is it? What's down there?
updates they've made are pretty good.
A weapon? How many guns do you need?
I like that little how many guns do you need?
Chief doing what he does, jumping out of buildings or pelicans.
Deadpool has taught me that jump is very bad on your knees. Superhero landing.
Let's pause at 55 seconds. This is a very important... What is that in the background? I think one of our listeners pointed this out during our live show. We have what appears to be Guardian spikes.
I believe 343 have confirmed it is a downed Guardian. I can't remember which of them on Twitter, but I did see a screenshot of it, so it is confirmed. That is the spikes of a downed Guardian. How it got downed or who downed it, I don't know.
I hope it's downed. I hope it's like deactivated of some sort, because that implies that either the UNSC or the Banished found a way over their 6 months of fighting to find a way to kind of deactivate it, or at least combat one of them. And then it would also be cool to just kind of explore that area, because the Guardians are freaking massive. So like, could we get inside of it? I mean, what does that mean? I don't know. It's a very good detail that I think one of us pointed out, and the internet also pointed out, that I hope we get to see more of. Let's continue. You ready?
Right. 3, 2, 1, play. We got wildlife.
Wildlife, yep, check.
Forerunner structure with banished equipment mounted on the walls. Very
In the
Halo
biggest
Warsy.
campaign to date, Halo Infinite
Electric
invites
grapple
players
shot,
to become
very cool.
Master Chief
That's
and
part of the
discover
upgrade
true
system that
Spartan
we'll see a little bit
freedom in
about.
the most wide open and adventure-filled Halo experience
I like this
yet.
nice sort of like,
I agree. I was going to say the same
But
thing. I like
Chief
how the
won't be
Banshee's
alone on
flying
the
and
journey.
even the
His
Warthog
first
now,
mission
like,
is to
just to get the
retrieve a new
scale of
AI,
this, like, it truly
codenamed
is just this
the Weapon.
open world ring that we get
It's
to
been 6
go
months.
against.
Where have you been?
Following the events of Halo
want to pause
5,
here for a second.
Master Chief
135, just to talk about that little extra line we get from the Weapon, who still doesn't have a name, of "It's been 6 months, where have you been?" Does this potentially mean the Chief has been adrift in space for 6 months and his armor's stasis mode is that good?
I think it implies that he left the Weapon on the ring 6 months ago, and he went fighting elsewhere, which then led to him floating in space for an extended period of time.
I've been wondering, is that why his suit's so low in power when the pilot picks him up? Is he like...
Kind of at the end of, running on fumes, as they say.
Is he running on fumes? Has he literally been adrift in space all this time? Then again, I suppose it's the question of, has the pilot been adrift?
Well, I think having Chief adrift for a long period of time would explain why the pilot explains a lot to him, and thus the player kind of experiencing of what's going on. But I have a feeling it might be a similar situation with Cortana on High Charity, where Chief is forced to do something and leaves the weapon on the ring, or maybe someone else takes the weapon to the ring and they part ways, Chief does what the Chief does, but then gets knocked into space and, is basically on armor lock, and his system is at critical low when the pilot finally finds him. But the pilot has a good idea of something that happened, because we've seen and heard interactions of the pilot talking with Chief about what happened.
Yeah, he also does have a lot of glorious beard growth over that time, so...
Oh, yes.
I'm wondering if everyone's been sort of adrift for a while. I'm curious to see what the actual story is there, but I feel like that little extra line is an important clue. Like, that clearly seems to be the scene that we see in the other trailer where the two of them are talking together and she's asking, has he hit his head and all that, and they're in that Forerunner structure. So I think that's important.
Definitely.
Are we ready to continue?
I think so.
We are at 1:35 if you are keeping track as the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go 3, 2, 1, go.
Yep.
Following
Chief
the events of Halo 5,
climbing through
Master
space with the
Chief is
bodies,
searching for the answer
Cortana
to a
admiring
troubling
some sort of
question. What happened to
structure.
Cortana?
I was created to lock
I think it's
down
like a
Cortana,
space station of
but
sorts,
don't
I think
know
is what
why.
I've seen online.
It has that look.
What did
I
she
like
do
that
was so
the
wrong?
weapon appears to be like slightly out of the loop and things, and that we won't have to like have long explanations for everything, because you can like naturally have Chief explain stuff to her.
The answer is
But I also kind of like that her
somewhere on
knowledge
Zeta
is limited, so
Halo,
she's
a
not...
damaged world
It
full
seems
of
that she's not
wonder,
programmed to know
mystery,
everything.
and danger.
Yeah,
Kind of keep her little dumb.
I like this bit when he jumps out of the wasp. Yeah,
So good.
jackal
And at
snipers.
every turn, the Banished are hunting Master Chief and the
But
remnants
to kind of
the
talk about,
UNSC.
before that, just calling in the Wasp and seemingly to call in other artillery and vehicles is a
The
mechanic,
Banished
kind of help you
army is
navigate
spread
around the
across
ring.
the surface,
I kind of wonder
building fearsome strongholds and
how that's going to
outposts
work.
with
I've
no
seen
one to
there's like
stop
a
them.
Valor XP currency thing in one of these
Until now.
screens, and it seems to be that's going to be linked to unlocking weapons and equipment at forward bases.
From the beginning of the Halo saga, Master
Pause
Chief
1
has
second
been a
here.
hero.
Yeah.
I like that. I just want to one thing here in the live chat where Maker Dead says he hopes it's not pay to win. I don't think it sounds like it's pay to win. The Valor thing to me sounds just like an XP level where additional equipment will only be available the higher you are, and you get Valor from your little side missions, like rescuing the Marines is worth X amount of Valor, taking out the bases is worth X amount of Valor. So it sounds more like that. It's not a currency to pay for vehicles as much as you must be at a certain level to acquire Warthog, Gun Goose, whatever it is.
It would be interesting if there was an actual currency that you would spend. I mean, I don't know if I want this. I don't know where this idea is going, but like if you like say like encampments and stuff like refresh and with the login almost like a daily bounty, if they're truly making it that like so much as a live game to where then you can kind of acquire more and more. I don't know if I like that idea. I'm just spitballing. But yeah, maybe it's like a threshold that you have to compete. And it's like, oh, well, if I save those 4 squads of Marines, then I'll have enough Valor to then take in a Wasp. And now I can traverse the landscape with a Wasp as opposed to spending money like I just said. So I kind of like your assessment.
Well, that was the vibe I sort of got. Like, I could see an in-game currency sort of working, but then you get to the point where you may no longer have the cash to like get the equipment you want for your mission.
Yeah, that's what I'm a little concerned about. Is that there's got to be a way to there got to be of economy. As you spend money, you need to earn money so then you can spend more money. So it's like you don't want to be in those situations where like, oh, I'm all out of currency. I can't buy this Wasp, so now I have to do this mission with my AR and plasma pistol. Whereas if it was just like a persistent thing, you could just always have the Wasp. If you go to one of you just have to travel to this like one spot to where you can call in your artillery.
Yeah, I did like one theory I heard online where someone said, what if when you were looking for equipment you had a time limit on when it would take because the pilot had to actually go and get it. So what if the limiting factor was you can order a scorpion, but it's going to be like a 5-minute wait for the pilot to go and rustle up a scorpion on the ring and take it back to you? Or you can wait 15 seconds on a warthog. That was kind of like, I don't think that'll be the case, but like I thought that was interesting that you might physically have to wait for him to bring your gear to you.
Yeah. I kind of get that from a practicality and like lore standpoint, but from a game standpoint, game design,
I think it would suck, yeah. The problem with that is if you want to go and do a mission and then you've got to wait 10 minutes for flying delivery to come in.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Right. Will we carry on? We are at 3 minutes and 2 seconds if you're keeping track with us.
Yep.
Right, 3, 2, 1, play. This is Master Chief rescuing these Marines.
Yes.
Odds.
You're safe now, off this cliff.
And then jumps in the warthog. This is probably the best meme that's come out of this video from the Halo community.
And then we've got this guy with a super cool jetpack.
What if it's a friend?
Fire.
It isn't.
And then, pause. Let's pause it here.
Okay.
So this is the health bar mini boss that we've seen a few times and talked about. We have Tremonius is his name? Tremonius?
Yeah, Tremonius it looks like.
The only thing that I can kind of base it off of, since you're a big Division player, is this. I kind of get Division boss battle vibes from this. Would you agree?
Yeah, it very much seems like that bullet sponge enemy where you just need to like chisel down their health. And I'm assuming if you let up on your fire, their shields will recharge and then you'll have to do that again. It's a little hard to tell in the brief encounter you see here. I don't mind it because the only two ways to do a boss fight are the boss takes an absurd amount of damage and he visually changes as you hit him. Kind of like attacking... The big one people point out in Halo is the Scarab fights, where the Scarab takes more damage over time and physically looks more beaten up. Or you do this where you just put a health bar on top of it. And I think from like a development point of view, it probably makes more sense to just put a health bar on top of it instead of going to the bother of having all of that custom animation and damage for each boss.
I mean, I will say that like it looks like his jetpack, as you damage him, is kind of almost catching him on fire. So there still might be a level of detail there where the more damage you inflict on him, the visual indicator that his health is getting low is that the fire is going to explode and eventually kill him.
Yeah, like it's possible. It doesn't really bother me. We've had boss fights in Halo before. You literally beat an old age pensioner to death in his mobility scooter. People forget that in Halo 2. But you beat an old man to death in his scooter for the simple crime of wanting to exterminate your race.
Simple crime.
No, I don't mind this. I'm looking forward to seeing what the bosses are like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I hope it's just not too bullet spongy, but at the same time, like as long as the boss's mechanics are dynamic enough to where I'm forced as the player to like take cover and maneuver, but like if I'm just standing somewhere crouching and then waiting for my shields to recharge just to shoot him to get my shields down and then wait for them to recharge. Like if it's static like that, then it'll feel pretty terrible. But if you're grapple shopping all the way around, you're throwing stuff, you're using your abilities, and it's this big sandbox and this dynamic fight, then yeah, if these guys have a little bit more health, like it'll make it that more engaging as opposed to just like I feel like that kind of was the issue with like the Warden Eternal fights from Halo 5 is that it was always you trying to get around to the back, and then once you were in the back, you just had to like poke out, shoot a bunch, and then poke back in, reload, shoot them a bunch, and run around. Like the fight wasn't that dynamic.
I would like to see personally, bosses calling in reinforcements, waves of enemies, maybe make things a bit different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential there for that. Right, will we carry on?
Yep.
Where are we leaving off time code wise for you?
I'm at 328. What are you at?
328. I was a wee bit ahead, so I will go back to 328 if you are listening on the live chat. We are good to go. 3, 2, 1, ba-dum.
See, like, he grabs the fusion coil and throws it at him, so...
Players now have more.
That's a big map. Looking at this map screen now, like, there's a lot more detail in that than the one we saw last year.
Banished facility up
Yes,
ahead, Chief.
definitely.
But, like, it looks like a nice big area, and I like this scoping out the base. You can take it out from a distance, because that's typically how I play a lot of games. I like to pick enemies off from a distance, and
I feel like this moment here is just kind of the, like, this is our vertical slice of something that you can do by, like, going to this base and tracking it down and just fighting anything. Now, what this is interesting is that, like, in the menu, it seems that you're able to, like, change stuff on the fly, which I don't really know if that was intentional, or if it was just showing us what, like, your settings were, maybe, like, what your loadout could be before you would go in, so then you can do those different things. But yeah, now he's in a tank.
I'm liking the idea of that being on the fly. Yeah,
You like that kind of
he
thing.
likes that sort of thing.
Oh, I like it.
No, I like the idea of, like, just being able to change on the fly and freeze the game, because lore-wise,
Halo
the suit's
Infinite
supposed to be
allows
able to
us
do
all
that for him.
Become Master Chief, doing
Here we
what
have the
Spartans do best.
boarding of the
Defying
Banshee.
odds to take down the Banished. Piece by piece. This won't
This
be an
big
easy
facility
fight.
that we keep seeing time and time
Master
again.
Chief will take on
Returning favourite Craig,
favorites.
Yep.
who still got fucked up.
And surprising
We
new
have our
threats,
skimmers.
like the agile skimmers. A sadistic Spartan killer named
Here we have Jaga.
Erdamni.
You want to pause it there?
Sure.
I can't tell if he teleports in or he uncloaks. It's a little hard to figure out there. He, like, shimmers into existence in that hallway, but I kind of love the idea of him being like a returning enemy, where you fight him and you don't necessarily kill him every time, but he could, like, shimmer out of existence again and come back to fight you the next time. He's not going to be a very good Spartan killer if he dies in his first encounter with you.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. I think he just uncloaks. I think it's just, instead of, like, the usual, like, kind of liquidy, it's just a bright red.
Like a red Banished sort of shimmer.
Yeah, but I think he just uncloaks. That would be the most sense to me.
I do like his artificial arm, like plasma blade gauntlet thing that he has going on, that is separate to his sword. I saw some people talking about how they're hoping that that's equipment that you could have instead of, like, the grapple shot. But it looks to be integrated right into his arm, so I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It does have that look of, like, a lump mounted to his forearm, so it could be an alternative to the grapple shot, which could be interesting if you could do, like, Assassin's Creed style blade takedowns.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I mean, well, assassinations are a thing in the Halo universe, so...
I thought in the artwork we originally got for this guy, his arm was quite sleek and thin, but there's quite a large boxy lump on his artificial arm where this thing comes out of, so it could be equipment that anyone can use, which would be cool. If it was essentially like the Jackal Gauntlet as well, maybe you could deflect bullets with it. There could be interesting uses for something like that.
Kind of like the repulsor that we have.
Oh yeah, you have that as well. He seems like he has potential as an enemy, but the only way he can have potential is if he doesn't die straight away.
Indeed.
Right, we're ready to carry on?
Yeah.
I'm at 518.
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Look out, Chief. He looks...
Angry.
and something even
And
more
then we have
threatening.
the definitely not a prey light, because 343 have come out and said that.
No, she's definitely teleporting.
You are not.
Yes, and she also like punches him
Exploring
outside.
this vast and
Yeah,
fractured
that was
world
weird.
will put Spartan
She
117
kind of
to
has
the ultimate
slip space
test.
capabilities,
But where
it
there is
seems.
courage,
Yeah, there have been a
there
few
is
people
hope.
theorizing that she looks similar to the
Welcome
Warden
to
Eternal
the new
headwise and
era
all.
of Halo.
I had assumed the Warden was a Forerunner.
He's more like he's like an AI construct.
It kind of seems like.
Well, you see, he's not. That's the thing. Like, Exuberant Witness, we're just rolling up the end of the video here, but Exuberant Witness in Halo 5 specifically says, oh, he's not a computer. Or, like, he's not an AI. So he is, like, I think he's a composed being of some description. I just assumed he was a Forerunner. Then again, as people have pointed out, his head in his construct body and her head look sort of similar. So I don't know if that's the case or not. Not much else to really talk about in the end of that video, apart from we get the brief scene of Escharum, but we're going to get a better view of him now.
Yeah, let's transition to the other video, and then we'll wrap it up here. This is the Banished Rise trailer.
This one's pretty short, although I don't think we'll have too much to talk about because a lot of it is the same trailer we've seen already, just with different commentary over the top of it.
So, alright, well, let's, you ready to play?
I'm ready when you are.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
I like his voice.
Makes you weak. Humanity.
So the big thing with this trailer is really the words that he's saying, I guess. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to talk over it.
Rise, shrouded in armor to save you. It won't. Armor can be broken, bodies shattered. When you look back on these last days, you will realize that all you've built was a tomb. A place where hope dies.
He has a good menacing vibe going on with him.
Oh, definitely. No, it's so this is a good just like trailer of just like here's part of the game that you can experience. Whereas the campaign overview kind of definitely gives you some more context and showcases the game a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, his visuals also have been enhanced. It's a little unconfirmed whether that's cinematic moments, because, you know, the way the camera moves in and out of Chief as you're playing is very fluid, so it's unclear whether this is one of those moments or Escherum's dialogue and his visuals are a little bit more of a pre-rendered video fidelity.
I think it's very much pre-rendered because he looks too good compared to the scenes we've seen in the game. I figure this is just a pre-rendered promotional video.
Yeah.
I don't think anything in the game will be this good. Like, if you told me that this was going to be like the opening cinematic for the game, you know, the way in Halo 5 we had Halsey doing her whole thing about the Spartans and everything else, and that's all pre-rendered, so I could see this being the same.
Okay.
But I don't think we'll see anything as good as how Escharum looks there in the actual game. Not that, like, the scenes we've seen so far look pretty good. Like, the pilot looks pretty good. He does not have the scary Johnson in Halo 3 look about him.
Well, I think that's a pretty good overview. Hopefully everyone was able to follow along. It was a kind of a new format for us, but I think it kind of gave a little bit more context to what we were talking about, because we also recorded our live show discussing, you know, both trailers. Additionally, this week there was an Inside Infinite blog post from 343 on Halo Waypoint, It talks about the character design team and the UI and UX teams. You guys can take a look at that. It's very detailed, as they always are, and it always offers unique insight to the design philosophies of 343 and how they're doing the game. I guess we only get one more of those if we're getting one for November ahead of launch, so it'll be interesting to see what the final topic is. But this one for October is pretty good to see all the kind of rendered images that they have, and that things are getting close and close to the final release quality. So you can take a look at that. Of course, check out the videos, and I think that'll do it for this episode of Halo Headlines. Thank you all for listening, and join us next week. If you enjoyed this episode and are otherwise unaware, please check out our website, halopodcastevolved.com. It features all of our episodes and a full library of content. We have Podcast Evolve, Mission Debrief, Halo Book Club, and Builds with Blocks. You can also listen to our partners Will and Josh over at HCS Pro Talk for all your competitive Halo news. You can listen on your favorite podcast feed or go over and watch them live on Twitch Monday nights at 8 Central. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons for their continued support of this show and all of our shows for making it all possible. Head over to patreon.com/HaloPodcastEvolve to learn more. And I've been your host, and until next week, everybody, evolve!
Evolved.